no, 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 no. Pilots, do you have the need for speed? Well, if you do, I got just the thing for you. The all-new version 2 64mm F-14 Tomcat is here. Let's get this thing blown out of the box and let's check it out. And there it is, out of the box. Now, before we start the assembly process, let's talk about this. This is my Ernst stand. If you're interested in getting one of these, they're available here at motionrc.com. They are the perfect item to put your aircraft together. The other thing we're gonna want is a hex screwdriver. If you want one, get them here at motionrc.com. We have the MIP brand or the Benchcraft brands available right now at the time of purchasing your aircraft. You can easily throw one of those in with it to make your life a little easier. Well guys, let's get this thing in the stand and let's start putting it together. So the first step in the assembly process is to turn the aircraft upside down so that we can put our elevator halves on. The way you're going to complete this is you're going to slide your elevator onto the aluminum tube, then take the little circle collet and the 1.5mm Allen-headed screw and thread that into it. Then you're going to drop that down from the top into the little channel that is made for it, then slide your elevator all the way on. Once it's all the way seated, then you can simply take that 1.5mm Allen key driver and tighten up this collet. Repeat this step for the other side, then we can get the ventral fins installed on the bottom of our F-14. You're going to complete this by simply keying them and slotting them down into the foam until they're lined up. Now, when you go to put your screw in, there is a piece of sticker decal over the screw hole. It's clear so you can see it, but you will have to push a little bit to get your screw started after it pops through there. Once you get all 4 screws in the bottom of the aircraft, it's time for us to turn the aircraft over. Now, for my situation, it was a little bit easier to work on the table flat. So what I did is I rolled out a little bit of carpet. You can also use an old towel, just something to keep your bare foam from setting against that hardwood table. Once you have it setting there, it's time to get our rudders installed, also known as our vertical stabilizers. To get these installed, you're going to simply hold them up to the airframe and you're going to line up yellow to yellow, brown to brown on these servo connectors. Plug those guys in. Once you've done that, you can simply slide the rudder down from the top until it keys in. Remember, these should go together without forcing, so if you're having to really try to pull them down with the screws, there may be a wire underneath them. There's a channel inside of each of the rudders that the wires have to go up inside in order for this to work correctly. Once you have that rudder down, it's easy enough to put 3 screws in, 2 on the sides and 1 from the top. They're going to hold those on. Simply repeat this step for the other rudder. Once you have that complete, it's on to the next step. All right, so at this point, it is time to get the main wings installed onto the aircraft. To do this, you're going to take one of the little circle-looking washers. You're going to drop that down from the top on the wing receiving point. Then you're going to take the wing and you're going to slot that down over the top, making sure the bearing stays nice and straight and taking your time to make sure it seats all the way down. Then you're going to take the remaining washer, slide that on top of the bearing. Once that's all complete, we can take our wing plate, being careful, the cutout goes towards the aft section of the aircraft. If you get it correctly, all the holes are going to line up on the plate. Once you've done that, we're going to take one of our 2.5mm black machine threaded screws and we're going to screw that down into that back plate. After that's complete, we can also take the nut and put that on top of the bearing assembly. Now, I did put a small drop of Loctite here. I don't use a lot of Loctite on these foam aircraft because if it gets on any of the plastic, it will actually make it brittle and snap. But this component right here is metal to metal, so we can actually use a little drop of Loctite if we choose to. If you don't want to, I also like a little bit of dot of Freewing glue right there, and then run your screw down. That'll keep it from ever backing out also. Just be careful that that does not get in the bearing of this wing. Now that you have that completed, it's time to put the next piece on. So there's this long bar, and you'll see it will only fit in one direction where it's gonna fit right. After you get it, the front hole gets one of our countersunk wood screws up in the front of that. That's a 2mm. And then the part that goes into the metal receiving point in the aft section is going to be a 2.5mm black machine threaded screw that's going to screw down into there. Once again, you could use Loctite if you choose to. I did not in my situation. After that, there's one more piece of metal to get put on, kind of to the side and to the center of the fuselage. You're going to see there's a little T-shaped looking one. This is going to kind of clip over, and then you've got two of those 2.5mm machines at the top. Then you're going to use one of your 2mm wood screws to go into that bottom section of the wing plate, and that'll get the wing plate assembled. All right, now that we have the wings installed, it's time to do a little bit of wiring. So you're going to see there's two bread ties that come on it. Go on and unfurl those, then string your wires out and put them into the clip that is built into the wing plate. Once you've done that, go over to your multifunction control board. And you're going to see one is labeled for the ailerons. Then there's another port for the flaps in the middle. And then finally, you're going to plug your lights into the last remaining 2-port spots. Now, make sure you plug everything in the correct direction. Remember, yellow is signal or white. And then on your light controller, red is positive and black is negative. Take your time plugging all that in. Make sure to open and close the wings so you know that the wires aren't being pinched and they're fully out or fully in position. Once that's all done and you're happy with how it's plugged in, it's time to actually snap on our 2 control rods. These are ball link clevises, and when you push them down, you will hear a very satisfying click as they go in. Once that's done, we can either move on to putting the receiver in the aircraft and leave the wing plate off. That way you can check your wing sweep, but for the sake of this video, let's get the wing plate on next, which is just as simple as using 6 of your machine threaded black screws and putting that wing plate on. And after that, we're ready for the next step. All right, pilots, now we need to get the nose cone installed on the airplane. Now, this is a removable nose cone because a lot of our customers like to be able to take these off and replace them. All you have to do is pop it on the front. It's magnetic. And then the pitot tube actually just friction fits into 2 little keys on the front, and they are different sizes, so you can't put it on backwards. Now, at this point, it's time to get our receiver installed into the aircraft. Now, I'm going to use the ER8 available right here at Motion RC through our Radio Master line of products. And we're going to be using our TX16 to actually program the aircraft. Now, if you're interested in using this radio or any of the other items that I'm going to use for the electronics, we do have separate videos just for those. But for the time being, I'm going to get that in the aircraft, and then we're going to put the gear out, the wings out, make sure everything wiggles and it's good. And then I can turn the aircraft over and upside down once I know I have my elevator centered, and I can actually put my elevator linkages on. Now, your elevator neutral position is 22mm from the top of the turtle deck of the aircraft down to where the elevator actually meets at. I made me a little mark with my caliper so I knew where to set it, and then I adjusted my push rod linkages until my elevator was there. You don't want to do this with digital trim in the radio for your first flight. You want to get this as close to neutral as possible by hand first. Once I had everything done, I clipped them on and we were ready to flip the aircraft over and continue our assembly process. All right, the last step in the process is to go around the aircraft and put all our peripheral antennas on the aircraft. Up on the front right-hand side of the nose, there's going to be a little bitty thing that you poke in right by the 5. Then a little bit further back, you'll see a slit right beside the rescue arrow. You're going to cut that out with a razor knife, and then you can slot this one in. And I used a little drop of thin Benchcraft CA to affix it into the model. A little bit further back from that, on the stars and bars, you're going to see there's a little circle indent there. Once again, cut that out, push that antenna in. Then on the left-hand side of the nose, you're going to have an antenna about the same spot right by that rescue sticker. Then another one inside of the star and bar. And then there's one that goes right below the canopy. After you get all those on, there is two antennas on the turtle deck of the aircraft. There is one towards the front that is this gray antenna, and then there's one towards the back that is a little lighter gray colored one that's going to go right there on your plate for the wing mechanism. Once those are done, we can flip the model upside down, and we need to install both of the center missile rails. They are held on with just 2 screws. Once you have the rails on, it's as simple as keying your missiles on. Then, for your outboard missile rail system, they slide in and then 2 screws affix those to the model. Once that's done, we can simply key on our 2 remaining missiles per side. Now, a few honorable mentions. I want to tell you, one of the original version's issues was there were CG marks on the wings and the fuselage. That's been rectified now for the version 2. There are only CG marks on the fuselage on a portion that's not going to move. So no matter what, you're going to know where it is. When you CG this model, you want it wings out, gear down, and then CG off of those points. Well, pilots, that gets our assembly of the F-14 all completed. We're going to take this out to the field. If you haven't checked out any of the other content, I mean, there's not a huge amount of changes on this aircraft outside of the new color scheme, which I will say, I really like this color scheme more than probably any of them I've seen yet. It is very striking in person, and the red and everything is going to make the orientation of this aircraft a lot easier. The biggest change that makes this the version 2 of this aircraft was the wings. The wing profile and shape has changed just a little bit to increase aerodynamic efficiency and to really help at lower speeds to help it from dropping a wing. The aircraft flew great in the original version of it, but we know some customers struggled with that. And this is a way that we can improve it and make your aircraft fly better. And for customers that want the version 2 set of wings for their version 1, we will have these separate, and they do fit the version 1 aircraft. Well, pilots, I'm Wes from right here at motionrc.com. It's been my absolute pleasure showing you around the newest model from here at Freewing Models. If you're interested in this, they're available right now here at motionrc.com. And until the next video, whether it's air, land, or sea, you can get it right here at Motion RC. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.